Hey there, friends. I hope you had an incredible day at school. Tonight we're going to read a story called The Harp Player, and it comes from 1 Samuel and Psalm. The little sheep baaed and baaed. Its wool was caught in the thorny bushes. David pushed the bushes aside with his shepherd's staff. He tapped the little sheep so it would move out of the brambles. Soon it was free of the thorny branches, and it bounded off to join the rest of the sheep. Silly sheep, laughed David. At last, all the sheep were lazily nibbling at the green grass. It was a big job to watch the sheep by yourself, but David's father and his big brothers had gone to eat dinner, and the people from town. The prophet Samuel, a man who told about God, will be at the dinner too, so it must be important, David thought. David was glad to stay behind with the sheep. He liked being outdoors, he liked to talk to God out there in the fields, and it was a good time to play his harp. David sat down under a tree and began to play some music. He sang a song to God while he watched his sheep. Then David heard somebody calling him. "David, David!" It was one of his family's servants. "The prophet Samuel is asking for you," he said. "He says they won't eat until you get there." "They're waiting for me," said David. The servant nodded. David stood up and took a quick look around to make sure all the sheep were there. Some were still nibbling grass, some were dazing, some were drinking water from a little stream, but they were all there. David handed his shepherd's staff to the servant, then he hurried down the path to town. Sure enough, everyone was waiting for David. There was his father, there was his big brothers, and there was Samuel the prophet, the man of God. Samuel walked over to David. David bowed his head, and Samuel poured oil onto David's head. Then David knew that this was a very important dinner. The oil meant that God had chosen David. Someday, David would be the new king for God's people. For now, there was already a king. His name was Saul. David would wait until it was his turn to be king. Until then, he played his harp and watched the sheep and sang songs to God. He even played his harp and sang for King Saul. David loved music. One of his songs said, "I lie awake and think of you, God. I think of you through the night. I think about how you have helped me. I sing because you take care of me. Your right hand is strong. You hold me safely. So I will sing joy for you." Good night, friends.